What's good, G-Life? It's your boy MC Shadow back at you with another video. You already know the get down. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, check out the playlist, all that good stuff. Now, I have the pleasure of introducing somebody that actually, through, chatting and everything, became pretty cool with, you know what I mean? He's one of my subscribers, and he has an interesting story and an interesting perspective on what we all struggle with, which is the street life, the poverty, the coming out of the, rough terrain for Raza, you know what I mean? So with no further ado, my boy, introduce yourself.
Well, I'm El Jesus on YouTube. A lot of people know me already, though. But para los compas, el Puga, you know what I mean? That's how people know me over here in Stockton, though.
All right, that's right. Hey. So you're coming out of Stockton, California, then?
Yeah, I grew up in Stockton, though.
How was it growing up in Stockton? How was it?
Growing up in Stockton, it was rough. It was hard, There was a lot of hate between Raza and all that,
And it's sad because, I try to tell individuals, because whether you're coming from Compton, South Central, the Valle, Stockton, Vallejo, all of these areas where there's Raza, what tends to happen is a lot of times we end up beefing it with each other. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's always Raza on Raza. And would you say that you've seen a lot of that, like, growing up where you were at?
Man, I've seen a lot. See, I got to Stockton between 96 and 97.
Orale.
Texas. I wasn't really born and raised in Stockton, but I'm from over there in Texas, though. Brownsville, Texas.
Orale.
And when I got here, man, it was just wars, between Raza and Morenos, though. I can tell you that, that's a fact. Yeah, that's a fact. There's a lot of hate between Raza and Morenos, though. All over Stockton, that's how it was, though.
That I always thought like the Raza up there mingled well with the Negros, especially you have the Norteños who seem to be have a pretty good relationship, with them, that I thought.
What I can tell you about Norteños, yeah, they used to get along with Bloods, though.
Oh.
But they never got Crips, though. See, I grew up on the south side, and there's a lot of hate. There was a lot of hate to the middle schools that I went to, and even to the high school I went to. They never got along, though, honestly.
That's crazy.
It was later on, like around 2003, 2004, 2005. That's when I see, even me, though, I started, getting along with them and all that stuff. But it was a lot of hate. There was a lot of hate. Even back in the days, paleteros, eloteros, this used to get a rub, by Morenos. Everybody knew the struggle here in Stockton, though. You know how we are, though. We Mexicanos, we're really, really, we don't want to say it, but we're really racist, though, When it comes to other races, we are, though. Hey, si está moreno, hey, just, de retirado, from far away, though. That's how usually it is, though. And that's how it was over here. It's just guerras, that's how it was.
No, that's real talk, because down here is the same way with the older, Hispanics. Yeah, they do say a lot of comments, towards, blacks, you know what I mean? And I don't know why that is, to be honest with you, you know what I mean? I don't know where that comes from. Maybe just because they're not used to it, or maybe because what the television feeds them, because the television, if they're really good at something, is painting blacks and Raza as the bad guys, right? We're the criminals, the villains. That's all we are. We're always the bad guys, you know what I mean? It's rare that you see, Raza ever portray anything good. The same with the blacks, you know what I mean? So I think that they paint this way because, they're landing on a new country, so they're not used to all the new stuff. So, right, so if they're watching the TV, and this is what the TV is telling them, then they could only go based on what they're seeing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, usually honestly, that's how it is, though. People go based off of TV, though. Off of TV, news, and unless you know people, that's when you get to know that they're going through the same thing you go through, In the meantime, you just go based off of TV, though. That's how it is everywhere. I think so,
No, and it's messed up.
Yeah, it's like saying every Mexican like mariachi and banda. I don't.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah,
I feel you.
I told it, and you know, it's not like it's annoying, nothing like that. But sometimes it'll be like, oh, mariachi, you guys are not really, bro. I'm not.
I know what you mean.
You know what? They go off for that. They go off for whatever they see on TV, though. Everywhere you go, it's the same thing, you know. Tacos and tortas.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like,
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, there's more than that. You know, there's more than that. It's not just that.
No, yeah, and that's the racist stigma that the TV paints for a lot of races. You know what I mean? For blacks, for whites. You know, they do that a lot. You know what I mean? And is ignorant in their behalf. You know what I mean? Because they're painting. People are getting an idea. You know, based on what these people are saying. And one thing that gets me mad about what news does and all of that is that you see that there is raza that graduate, right? They get their diplomas. You see that raza come here and they open up their own businesses and do everything legal. You see raza, but the news doesn't cover that. The news doesn't cover these people that graduate college, that open their business. The only thing that they cover when it comes to raza is a DUI crash, a murder. It's always the negative stuff. But what about all the positive shit that we do here?
You gotta be negative. You gotta be negative. That's what attracts people, and that's sad. That's really sad when. I'm a truck driver. I tell people like, man, you don't want to see dead people on the floor.
Yeah.
You probably want to see it, but at the same time, you don't want to see it because I've seen it. And a lot of gente, like, they won't be able to take that, you know? They just mentally, they'll be like, they're going to end up traumatized or something like that. And I tell them, no, you don't want to see dead people for real. It's like, or, you know, stuff like that. But, yeah, man, it's like something that attracts people, you know? It's that rush that you get out of it. We were talking about it yesterday, you know? It's something. It's like when you watch scary movies, you know, you know what's gonna happen, but at the same time, you're still watching it because you're gonna get out of it. It's like a human thing to do, you know.
Yeah,
it's not like though. That's what I think.
No, that's real talk. Now, the reason I like conducting these interviews, right? Like interviewing not just gang members on my channel, but people that also, you know, are affected by the street life and stuff like that. You know, that are just you know, regular civilians that have to interact in these environments with gente, because it affects them too, whether people want to see it or not. You know, they are affected by the stuff that happens in the streets. Now, as you growing up, someone that's, you know, not from a gang and not gang affiliated, but you being raised there and seeing all of this, how did you feel about all of the scenario, the whole scenario in general?
Well, like I told you before, from my point of view, you know, the stuff that I went through, it was hard. You know, it was really hard because when I got here to Stockton, that didn't make sense to me because the way people look at it, it was like, oh, they fighting over a color, red and blue. You know, when it came to my, you know, to the raza, you know, to my people, I was like, man, it's like that shit make no sense to me. It make no sense to me. So, being well, back in the days, you know, I didn't have no social, nothing like that. So I was, you know, straight up mojado, you know.
Yeah.
And see, that was rough though, because getting here to Stockton is like, see, you want to speak English, you know, you couldn't kick it with these dudes, with the Reds, with the Norteños, you know. And it was just hard. It was just hard, left and right. You couldn't win left with the Sureños because they wouldn't like you. And same thing with the Norteños, though. It was just the English, though. So I was between the whole thing, you know. And in the way where I grew up, which was Southside Stockton, if you're from Stockton, you know, like the who's like the gang that was dominated the whole Southside Stockton. We all knew Norteños, you know. Yeah. They had it on lock, and it was you know, it was just hard. It was just really hard. From my point of view, it just with all respect, you know, it was just stupid. It was just nonsense, you know, because I was like, man, we're just killing each other though. But for some reason though, like I told you before, one of my best friends, one of my homies, when I was growing up, from what is it, 6th grade to 7th grade, got killed. I was slapping a song, you know, listening to some homie from you know, from LA. So he got blasted, he got killed, and it went from there though. I was like, I didn't like nobody. I was like, man, hey, fuck it. I don't like blue, red, nothing like that. It was just like that. And there's a lot of gente right here in Stockton that admit they didn't like norteños and sureños at all. We couldn't see them, you know. We just couldn't see them. It was just like fuck them all, you know.
Yeah, because
it's like we knew like we couldn't wear blue on the South. So it's like people like me was like, man, fuck, we still wearing blue, you know. They're not gonna tell us anything.
Yeah.
And we knew it was just gonna be it was gonna be fights, shootings, and it was just gonna be trouble. Same out west, it was same thing. Out here on the east side, it was same thing. There's a lot of gente they didn't like wearing red and blue. You know, there's a lot of hate. There was a lot of hate. That's what I can tell you. But from my point, like the way I used to get, see, I tell people, I tell my kids sometimes, like, man, the way I grew up, I used to get discriminated by my own people, you know, and it was just hard. It was really, really, really hard. And I'm talking about 96, 97, 98, and early 2000s. That's how it was. There's a lot of killings between raza, and man, it was just hard. It was really, really hard. You know.
Now you're seeing it from that, and I get it, right? Because people's se hartan, right? Because you guys are kind of in the middle, because people are hitting you guys up, and no, you are a Southsider, or no, you are a Norteño, and you guys are just stuck in the middle constantly. You know, everyone's coming, so I can see why people you know, get fed up with it, and see, you know, that have this dislike, I guess, for these groups. You know what I mean? These
I would say not dislike, it was more like hate. You know?
Yeah.
Because you were getting like me. I was getting picked on school, you know, because I didn't know how to speak English.
Yeah.
So I couldn't went north, and I couldn't went south sometimes. But you know, so everybody started doing their own groups. You know, when it came to like hoods and all that stuff, there's a lot of gente out east though that I met. And even gente out there, you know, on the south, it was the same thing. Just like me though, straight up paisas, straight up Mexicanos though, and we used to get together because like, man, they just taking advantage of us, you know what I mean? So everybody started doing the same. It was like game banging, but not for a game. It was more like. Yeah. You know what I mean? It was like
you was like not gonna let yourselves. If these guys come and want it, then you guys gonna.
I was like, hey, I'm no game member, nothing like that, but I'm no sucker. You know, I'm still gonna fight back, because it was, you know, you're still gonna get retaliation and all that stuff. You fucking with my homies.
Yeah.
That's how it really was, though. For a lot of gente right here in Stockton, because I met a lot of, you know, a lot of raza, and we were on the same page. We were like that.
Now,
you know?
When you say, okay, but like how you said, you'll back up your homies. So now, más o menos, you get the idea of why gang members do it, right? Because those are your homies. Like you say, you guys are not from no gang, but if they mess with him, you guys will back each other up with. So you get it from a sense. But I think, would you say that maybe because your homie got killed by a gang member, that's the reason why you guys, or why you didn't, you know, steer to a gang?
You know, I can talk about myself though. When my homie got killed, though, going to what is it, 7th grade, around there, you know, it was hard, you know. That was a good friend, you know, era compa, you know.
Yeah.
And so from that point on, it changed my whole thing, you know. It changed my whole point of view of gangs and all that stuff. Like I said, like to me, with all respect, so. It was stupid, but at the same time, I ended up on the same mitts, you know, where I was like, oh, I'm gonna fuck with them, you know, I'm just gonna keep fucking with them, you know, I don't care though, and pretty much I was doing the same thing. There's a lot of gente like that out here doing the same thing, in a way, gang banging, but not really from a gang. If you fuck with me, I'll fuck with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I got to the point, me and a couple homies, you know. It was like anywhere we used to go, like, hey, what you guys playing? What you guys bang? Hey, whatever you bang, I'll bang it, bro. It was just, you know, just to get on a fight.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's how it was. That's how it really was. I'm like, man, fuck. Now that I think about it, it was really stupid, you know, because it was just gente, and I was like, I hated it, but I was on the midst. I was like, man, I'm doing the same thing they doing, and another thing that watching your videos, I never like I told you before, I never thought about the shit that we're going through, you know, the stuff, the mental into the man. I never got into the mental, like, hey, what's up with these homies? Why they going through the same thing, you know? Yeah. I was going through the same thing, and like I told you, you changed my my way of looking at things, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not you know, it changed my life, nothing like that. That'd be a lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I never thought about that stuff. Never thought about that stuff. But watching you know, your videos and all that stuff, I was like, man, hey, I never stopped and thought about that stuff. You know, like, hey, they're going through the same struggle I'm going through. See, I grew up with no dad, so pretty much I was like, a lot of times, I was on the street, I was on the bike, I was just watching crazy ass stuff, doing stupid stuff.
Yeah,
you know. So I went through the same thing they went through. You know, the same thing you talk about your videos and all that stuff, I went through. But I wasn't part of the game. Yeah. But I'm like, man, and I never stop about it. You know, I never stop and think about, are they going through the same shit I'm going through? And they probably did. You know, they probably had it worse, some of these homies, but
you know,
I never stopped.
That's one thing that I say when I talk to people. And I do these videos is that a lot of times, like we say, you know, when we're older already and we talk about it, we say, man, we're doing this shit, man, that was stupid that we did that, or I don't know why I did that. And the thing that people have to realize that, I get it, you know what I mean, that everyone's responsible for their actions and what they do and stuff like that. But at the same time, people are looking at it always from the adult's perspective, right? Like because you're already an adult, right? So you know better and stuff like that. But they forget that at the times that we're doing these stuff, we were not adults. We were kids. You know what I mean? And kids are not gonna know. They're not gonna think about what they're doing and stuff like that. You know, we see it with our morros. Kids just do what they do. They don't know no better. You know what I mean? And I think gente se los olvida because these vatos are out here robbing or out there with guns. That la gente piensa these fools are adults, but in reality, dude, that's a 14-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. You get what I'm saying? Like he's not an adult. You know what I mean? Pero se les olvida, you know, because they already look like of age because the streets almost like raise us to grow up a little bit faster, you know what I mean? Because we got to do what we got to do. Now, one thing that we were talking about is that, and the environment doesn't help, right? Like how could I say, the citizens, like law enforcement and stuff like that, because you were telling me a story about what the Judas would do, you know, to you and your camaradas, you know what I mean? Like, could you elaborate on that?
That was another thing. Like I told you, like out here in Stockton, the way I was trying to stay, you know, out of trouble, it was like playing sports. My thing was soccer, and there's a lot of times out here. We all know, you know, out there on the south side, we don't got the best grass on the parks.
Yeah,
you know, there's no grass. Pretty much, there's no grass. When it rains, it's so muddy.
Yeah. So
a lot of us, and a lot of us used to head up north. And within 10 minutes, 20 minutes, you know, the cops would show up. Hey, we got a call. You guys can be out here. Where you guys from? And we should tell them, man, we're from the south side. And they used to tell us right away, well, you guys got parks over there, right? So you guys gotta go back there. And I'm like, dude, but we're not doing anything, you know? It just affects the way we look, you know?
Yeah.
The way we look. Like, okay, and I'm talking about in 20 minutes. I went, you know, I remember I went to like at least 5 different parks. They didn't want us over there. It wasn't about other people kicking us out there. It was the cops, you know? And that's another thing right here in Stockton. That's a big thing here in Stockton. Everybody lives up north. They think they're better than the people from down south. And you heard about Stockton, it's like, oh, you tell them, where you grew up, where you from, Southside Stockton, and they all go, oh, that's the ghetto, you don't want to be there. It's not really like that. That's how people put it out there, you know? Yeah. And it goes on the cops. You know, the cops takes a big role when it comes to separating people and all that stuff, because I'm like, I have homies from up there, and they're like, man, I can't believe we can't play on the park. It was just, they used to leave for Crescent Park, but just the fact that we were there, you know? Dudes from the south side or from the east side, they couldn't play over there. Yeah. So it's like, hey, just go back to your park. And I'm like, dude, we're coming out from over there because we don't want to struggle with some other dudes over there. You know, it's going to be shooting.
You're trying to avoid that.
hey, we try to avoid that stuff. I try to stay out of trouble, and you don't let me though.
Yeah,
but that's how it was. I think that like the you know the court didn't let you.
Yeah.
So it was hard, really hard. At least what I went through, you know.
No,
and a lot of. I feel like a lot of gente right here in Stockton went through the same thing, you know. But we don't think about it. But like I told you, I got a job where I'm able to meet a lot of people. I train a lot of people, and they went through the same thing. Anybody that I have trained, they went through the same struggle that I went through. And none of them game bang. Yeah. I was like, dude, I went through the same stuff you went through, you know. You know, try to get out of trouble, but they don't let you, you know. Because it's a business, like I told you, you know. The cops and being in jail and all that stuff, it's just a fucking business.
Yeah, it is.
They want people in there. They really want people in there, though. They'll be out of, out of the job if they don't. They don't go look for crime. They make the crime at the end. A lot of times, that's how it is, though.